Hi, I'm Carlin Borisenko. In early 2020, I was the knitting Democrat who accidentally went viral on the internet for going to a Trump rally and then left the party. I became the conservative darling, was on all the shows, traveled around the country, and then realized that conservatives were no better than Democrats. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that both political tribes are two sides of the same coin. But it wasn't all bad. On my journey, I became obsessed with understanding the woke ideology and the culture war. I broke the story of the city of Seattle doing segregated training with its employees.
How bad has this stuff become? The city of Seattle has now put out, I'm not kidding you, this is according to Dr. Carolyn Borisenko, who's an organizational psychologist. The city of Seattle asked its white employees to voluntarily spend a day off in a training about their internalized racial superiority.
I broke the story that led to the first ever federal lawsuit against critical race theory in the schools. I broke the Coke Be Less White story, one of the biggest anti-woke stories of all time. It got over 30 million views. Coca-Cola's corporate headquarters even had to change their outgoing voicemail.
Throughout the past few days, you may have seen inaccurate reporting on the content of our recently launched diversity, equity, and inclusion training program.
I exposed the schools in Burlington, Vermont for grooming middle school children live on the internet. They called me an unwoke cult leader for that. And the Vermont Human Rights Commission slandered me publicly as being a hate channel. I even got called a hero in Breitbart for exposing that the Washington Post was writing a hit piece on Christopher Rufo. I have broken story after story after story about what's going on in the public schools, from Cambridge, Massachusetts, to autistic sex education, to the Department of Education in Michigan, literally training teachers all over the state how to groom children. I wrote a book called Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. I host a podcast all about fighting back, and I'm downloading all of my knowledge to you on my Substack, carlin.substack.com. The world is a crazy place. We are literally surrounded by cults on all sides. On this show, we're going to do a deep dive into all aspects of the culture war, and I will show you the dark, dystopian underbellies on both sides. Here are the commitments I'll make to you. I will always tell you the truth. I will always bring you receipts. And if you stick with me, I promise you will see the world differently. Welcome to the cult. Please mount that like button for me and subscribe if you feel so inclined. What up, everyone? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to The Cult. The Cult is a show that I stream on YouTube, on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, and on Rumble. And I'm almost I actually had to think about where I'm streaming right now. That's how tired I am. And I do this at 5 p.m. every day, and we go inside the darkest, the most dystopian quarters of the internet. And I've only had 3 hours of sleep. I'm really tired. I have only had, we have Dark Carlin today because I've only had 3 hours of sleep and I'm really tired and you know, we're going to see how this goes. And why did I only sleep for 3 hours? Because I didn't fall asleep until like 3:30 last night. And then I woke, okay, so I guess I had 4 hours of sleep. I woke up at like 7:30, which I never wake up at 7:30. I don't know what the hell was happening. The dogs weren't even barking or anything. And then I couldn't get back to sleep. And yes, John, yes, I should take a nap. I should. And I probably will after this. Cause sadly, Joshua has canceled Nothing Remotely Controversial for tonight, so we don't have to do that. So that's good. Because Joshua has just realized that it's Valentine's Day and Joshua has Valentine's Day obligations to go to. So we won't be doing Nothing Remotely Controversial tonight because Joshua wants to find a Valentine, apparently. So, you know, you guys can blame him. I didn't come up with this. Well, but Joshua has apparently many Valentine's Day obligations that he has to go to, okay? You guys can pester him about it on Twitter. Anyway, so after I get through the show today, the odds are that I will either be taking a nap or maybe I'll just take the rest of the day off. Maybe I'll just go to bed and I will sleep until tomorrow. We'll have to see. But the show must go on, regardless of if I have had sleep or not. The show must go on. And here we are. And we are here for another day of woke nonsense and socialist training bullshit. And I'm actually like, well, Trendolin, you've never sent me the link of whatever podcast you want me to watch. Which one? Is it the Fat Girl one, or do you want another option, Trendolin? Just send me the link of which one you want me to watch, okay? You DM'd me this morning. I know the DMs are working. Fuck you, bot. We're not friends anymore. Okay, you want me to watch the Fat Girl one? Okay, fine. I'm not doing it right now, though. We're going to be productive right now. And then I'm going to take a nap. And then maybe Trendolin, maybe we'll come back and maybe I will do the whatever podcast later. Maybe I could just do work too, Trendolin. You know, you ever think about that? Maybe I could just do work tonight. Maybe Victor and I will go out for like a Valentine's Day drink or something, a pre-Valentine's Day drink. I actually forgot it was Valentine's Day. I didn't even get Victor anything. I really hope my husband didn't give me a present for Valentine's Day. Victor, I really hope you didn't get me a present for Valentine's Day because I didn't get you anything. Might as well break the news to him now. Victor, if you got me a present for Valentine's Day, just save it for my birthday, okay? I can hear him yelling at me, but I can't hear what he says. Can you text me whatever you just yelled at me? No! No, we're not doing that, Murphy Spool. Anyway, this is a fine sleep-deprived start of the show. If you're new here, welcome. I'm usually way more professional than this, but when I'm sleep deprived, you just don't know what's going to happen. And hi to everyone watching on Rumble. I can see you even though you aren't chatting in yet, but I do have the chat. Okay, Victor just said okay. Victor has committed that he didn't get me anything for Valentine's Day. So now I don't have to feel guilty about not getting. See, this is part of the benefit of being married over 12 years, because we're kind of like, do you want to get something for... Oh, he said he wasn't planning to buy anything. Excellent. See, my husband and I are on the same page. I wasn't going to get him a Valentine's Day gift. He wasn't going to get me a Valentine's Day gift. Maybe we'll have sex. Who knows? Doesn't always need to be a present, guys. Okay? Doesn't always need to be a present. Anyway, we're refocusing because the show must go on. And we have a training to watch, and that's just going to be the way. I cannot believe how out of it I am right now. Whew. Okay, let me show you what we're watching. Let me show you. So, did you guys know? Now, we have talked a little bit about the University of Pennsylvania lately on the stream. Now, the University of Pennsylvania is one of the... Well, I mean, it's an Ivy League school, first off. But it's also just one of like the uber woke Ivy League schools. Like Sophie Lewis, our favorite Abolish the Family Goddess, works at the University of Pennsylvania. James Lindsay, who is now pretending to cover Abolish the Family, should really look into University of Pennsylvania, but don't tell him it came from me, because he won't do it if it came from me. But really, there's a lot of Abolish the Family stuff going on at University of Pennsylvania, James. I know that because I've been covering it a year and a half longer than you have. That's okay. But there's a lot of woke stuff there. They're like, the University of Pennsylvania has all these little academic centers, and they have the most socialist speakers. We have watched a bunch of presentations from the University of Pennsylvania for Socialism Saturday. Anyway, I was going down some rabbit holes and doing some research, and I happened to find this here YouTube channel, NSOAI Penn. What is this? What even is this? What even is this day? Don't want the sound playing. No, don't want that. No. The official channel for the University of Pennsylvania's new student orientation and academic initiatives. Huh. Okay. So do you guys remember, for those of you who went to college, that when you go to college, you have to go, at least this is how it worked for me, over the summer, before I started as a freshman in college, I had to go for like a weekend new student orientation where they like show you around the campus and they like, they talk about how you have to do your schedule and like all that stuff, and you meet your orientation people, and those orientation people are the ones that help you out like in your first year and all that. Did anyone go through new student orientation when they went to school? Now, when I did new student orientation, they did things like, make sure you knew where you were going to be living. They got your schedule all set up. I went to school in Boston, and so they took us on the T and they showed us how the T worked. The T is like the subway in Boston and like all that stuff. And you got to meet people, and it was kind of like your first like acclimation to what it was like to be in college coming out of high school, right? What they didn't do, though, during my new student orientation is I didn't have to take any intro to gender equity. Now, apparently, the University of Pennsylvania, at least once, and I don't know if they did it more than once, but they at least did it once back in 2020, had a panel that was a part of the new student orientation called Intro to Gender Equity at Penn. Now, again, I know that a lot of people on my channel are a little bit older, and so maybe this was part of your college experience, but did anyone go to college and have to go through an intro to gender equity as part of your new student orientation? Now, I can remember so a lot of colleges, they will introduce the woke bullshit into like a freshman seminar or something like that, or maybe you have to do it as part of like your general requirements courses and things like that. But this is even before they start college classes. They had to do an intro to gender equity. Let's take a look. This is back on August 27th of 2020. I don't even know if they have newer videos on this channel. Let's take a look real quick. Probably should have done this before I started the stream, but again, I'm sleep deprived. Do they have any other? Oh, look, they've got racism and anti-racism from 2 years ago. They've got a couple there. There's another one. Lots of anti-racism stuff from a couple years ago. They were really into that. Let's see. More racism. Oh, Jesus Christ. How many anti-racism sessions did they do? Anyway, lots of stuff, but we're going to watch the gender equity one. This preceptorial. What does preceptorial mean? I actually have no idea. Oh, that's not going to tell me. Hang on. Fine. I'll look at it in a different window. Fine. If you don't want to be cooperative, computer. What does this mean? A college course that emphasizes independent reading, discussion in small groups, and individual okay, whatever. All right, well, you, my friend, are getting banned. Goodbye. It was nice to have you here, but now you're being a jackass, so goodbye. The preceptorial will be an introduction to gender equity at Penn. We will be covering what it means to be an intersectional feminist, an overview of groups at Penn doing gender equity, and other activist work, what current groups are pushing for within gender equity and related spaces, and resources to get involved with gender equity and activism at Penn. And this was, of course, the reason this is probably recorded is because this was during the pandemic, right? So this was back during 2020 when everyone was deathly afraid of dying of the flu at any moment. So that's probably why we have this recording. I wonder if Penn is still doing this. I guess we'll see how offensive this training is. But I can tell you that I did skip through it just a little bit. And let me show you at the very beginning. They clearly say the gender binary sucks at the very beginning of the presentation. So I think that this will be a good use of our time to see what the new students at an Ivy League school were learning before they were even matriculated in classes. That's what we're going to be watching today, guys. If you appreciate that, please do mount the like button for me. Whether you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, I really would appreciate it. Mounting the like button is free, but it really does help me out. And as per usual, there is a shocking disparity between the number of people who are watching right now and the number of people who've mounted that like button. So if you guys could all do that for me, I would really appreciate it. We got a couple orders of business before we get started. Number one, please make sure you head over to my Substack, which is Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. and make sure you are subscribed. You can, of course, subscribe for free, and you will get lots of news and information because most of the content on my Substack is for free. You'll get emails when I post new stories, things like that. Last night, I posted the update from the Woke kindergarten founder. Now, it just so happens that yesterday on the channel, we watched a presentation with the founder of Woke kindergarten. I didn't know that they, them was in it when I started the presentation, but we figured it out relatively quickly. And it's funny because the founder of Woke kindergarten, the one that just got $250,000 from a failing school in San Francisco, basically said on multiple occasions within the presentation, she called kids little comrades. Oh, excuse me. They, them called kids little comrades. They, them said that all children belong to everyone. And what was the other one? Oh, railing against capitalism, of course. You can see a clip of that exclusively on my Substack because God knows no other journalist bothered to find it. Only had 97 views on it when we watched it. And that's the type of stuff you can find on my Substack. I'm covering stories about what is going on the left that no one else is bothering to look for or things like that. We do only primary source documentation, so you guys can all just judge the receipts for yourself. And of course, we actually watched that live on the stream yesterday, so you never quite know what you're going to get when you come onto one of these streams. You might see stuff relevant to what's going on in national news in real time, and then you can see just how much your influencers are not telling you about what's going on in the world, because it's pretty shocking. It's pretty shocking what is going on in the world when you actually start looking for it. If you want to support the work I'm doing and keep me in business, because I am 100% funded by you, you can sign up on the Substack for $8 a month or $80 a year. You do get a variety of perks when you do that, to include 2 Zoom calls with me every single week. We do them on Mondays and Wednesdays. Tomorrow's call will be at noon, so if you sign up today, you'll be invited to a Zoom call tomorrow. How you find the Zoom information is by going to the Unwoke Roundup email. This is where you get your weekly perks. And you scroll all the way down to the bottom. And underneath this red box, you're going to find links to the Zoom calls. You're going to find links to the supporter Discord. You're going to find a 10% off coupon in the Unwoke Art merch store. All of these things do keep me in business, and I really do appreciate it. This was at the University of Pennsylvania, not Penn State, University of Pennsylvania. Other things is, guys, for once in my life, for once, I am actually scheduling streams ahead. I know this is I'm sure this will only last a week, but I actually have a bunch of streams scheduled right now that I want to make sure people know about. The first one is actually the most important. Not that one, this one. This one is actually the most important because, for people who are interested in this. So we're departing from our socialism tomorrow to do a brief jaunt back into the before times, the before Christ times. Or I guess the at Christ times, as it were. And we're going to be welcoming Adam Green onto the channel, and I'm really excited about this because Adam Green has ideas about the origins of Christianity and whether or not Jesus was real or mythical or any of these things. I think Adam Green's ideas are interesting. And I got to tell you, we were on the community Zoom call last night. We were talking about this, and there were an awful lot of people on my community Zoom call who are like, yeah, that sounds about right. And so I'm actually really looking forward to welcoming him onto the channel. I think it's going to be a great discussion. We're going to do that tomorrow at 5 p.m. But I want to remind people that if you aren't familiar with Adam Green, it might benefit you to head over to his Odyssey playlist, which I have linked in the description of that of the live stream, so you can find it right in the description right here. And it might benefit you to just get a little bit of like a primer for what we're going to talk about, because like one of the things I do appreciate about Adam Green is I feel like he analyzes his subject area in the same way that I analyze socialists, which means he has a savant-like knowledge that is a mile and a half deep, but sometimes he dives headfirst into it, and it can be hard to understand for people who are not familiar with it. Now, I'm going to do my best, and I told him, I said, don't assume that people on my channel have followed along with what you're talking about. So we need to go basic and intro level. And I'm going to try to guide him to do that. But I have also watched enough of him to know that sometimes he jumps in head first. Now, that's because he's really smart. It's because he's really into this stuff. It's because he has a savant-like knowledge of all these things. That's cool, man. But it might help if people are interested in the topic to just get a little bit of a primer. And if not, we will do our best, but I think it's going to be a great chat. I think he's really interesting. I think his ideas are interesting. And so I'm looking forward to that tomorrow on at 5 p.m. on the normal stream. Tim Pool tweeted a true midwit reply to a socialist meme. Seriously? Hang on, let me look. Let me look at my sock account because, of course, Tim Pool has me blocked because Tim thinks the quartering is the greatest activist of all time, and he just can't be talked out of that. So he blocked me when I tried. Let me just look. All right, what did Tim say? Hang on. Let me. I want to show this on screen, but I don't want you guys to see anything you're not supposed to see. Hang on. I don't want to give away my sock account, is what I'm saying. Okay, what did Tim tweet? So there is a difference between no. There is not a difference. There is not a difference between personal property and private property. This meme is wrong. This meme is not correct. Socialists absolutely view your home as private property. This meme is not correct. Can we please, for the love of God, stop saying there is a difference between personal property and private property when it comes to the left, because they don't distinguish. They never talk about personal property. The only people who talk about personal property are the people who are trying to say socialism isn't really all that bad, guys. Look, you get to keep your toothbrush and your books and your knitting and stuff like that. Just because we're going to take your home, your land, your business, your apartment complex, your parental rights, and your individual liberties, it's not all that bad. You still get your personal property. Like, it is like anyone who talks about the difference between personal property and private property when it comes to the left is a straight up legit moron that has never actually listened to what the left has to say. I'm sorry. So this meme is wrong. It is not correct. Let's see if Tim knew that. Oh, actually, shit. Tim did know that. Congratulations, Tim. All right. Like, I was mad at the meme, but I'm not mad at Tim's response, actually. I'm not mad at this response at all. Man, commies are fucking retarded. Yes, they are. There is no distinction. That's correct, Tim. So my office with a camera isn't personal property? No, Tim, your office with a camera in it is your business. That's not personal property, bro. They're going to abolish that shit as soon as they take power. At what scale does my personal camera become private property because I make a show with it? Well, okay. Maybe I gave Tim credit a little bit too soon because Tim is still focused on something that doesn't actually matter in this scenario. Tim is worried about his video camera. Tim, your video camera is going to be the least of your problems. Your video camera would probably qualify as personal property, but you're not going to be allowed to have a private business, Tim. I feel like I did a whole rant on this not too long ago in relation to him specifically. When he had that MAGA communism guy on his channel, you're not going to be allowed to have a private business under socialism, Tim. You're not going to be allowed to have a house. You're not going to be allowed to have any of those coffee stores. You're not going to be able to own land because no one will own land. No one will own homes. No one will own lands. No one will own apartment complexes. When you do eventually have kids, you will not have parental rights because they consider parental rights to be a form of private property that they want to abolish. And guess what, Tim? You aren't going to have your individual liberties either, because they consider individual liberties to be a form of private property. We know because Red May told us so. Red May is a group of radical revolutionary socialists out in Seattle. We watched a presentation from Red May back in October, I believe, called The Propertied Regime, in which they literally say that individual liberties are private property. So, Tim, you can focus your attention on a camera if you want, bro. But there are more pressing matters in regards to what these people want to abolish. If only Tim had access to someone who could teach him this information, because he doesn't seem to like James Lindsay anymore. He's annoyed at James Lindsay. James Lindsay did a whole thread about it, blah, 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 whatever. Of course, 18 people sent me the goddamn tweet where James Lindsay was like, did Tim Pool mute me? And then 18 different people sent me the clip from Tim talking about James Lindsay on his show last night, because apparently this is just the lot I have in life, is to have people sending me stuff from influencers all the time when I just want to watch socialism, man. I'm kidding. Always send me things. I don't want you guys to stop sending me things. I'm just saying. Where was I? Oh, if only Tim had access to someone who could explain this to him. But wait, he blocked me on Twitter because he thinks the quartering is the best activist in the history of activists. And that's his resource for stuff like this, apparently. I'm just saying. Thank you for letting me know about that, though. I appreciate it. Let's celebrate the fact that Tim is at least partially correct in that we should not be distinguishing between personal property and private property, because it doesn't matter. It is an irrelevant discussion. It doesn't matter. So we'll give him credit for that. And then maybe we can still work on moving Tim towards the understanding that he will not have a private business under socialism. He will not own land under socialism. He will not own a house under socialism. He won't have parental rights under socialism when he does eventually have kids, and he won't have the ability to say what he wants to say because there will be no more individual liberties under socialism. All right. What else? Oh, back to things that are important to me. Okay. So we talked about Adam Green. That's happening tomorrow. Another stream I have coming up, and this is going to be a late night stream. And I called it a nitwit stream. I don't really know if it's a nitwit stream, but you guys may have gotten wind that I kind of have a sometimes kind of on and off again internet boyfriend. Kind of. Sort of. And I figured if I was going to have an internet boyfriend, I probably should actually talk to him at some point. It just seems to be polite. He has defended my honor on like a couple occasions now, and I appreciate that. And so Big Tech is coming on the channel on Thursday at 10 p.m. And so you guys are going to get a chance to grill him and ask him questions. And so that's going to be fun. That's coming up. And then I have the perfect Valentine's Day Socialism Saturday. I'm really excited about this. I think it might have been two ladies who sent me this. Someone DM'd this to me on Twitter. I think it was two ladies. If it was, shout out to ladies. If it wasn't, shout out to whoever sent me this on Twitter, and I will go back and figure that out before Socialism Saturday. But we have a love episode for Socialism Saturday this week. We are watching a presentation from something called the Red Nation, and you can imagine why it's called the Red Nation, called Romantic Love is a Weapon of Capitalism. Like, you can't make this stuff up. So apparently romantic love will be abolished under socialism as well. So we should probably prepare for that. I don't think romantic love is the same as sex. They can go together, but they also don't have to, I guess. Anyway, I'm so proud of myself. I've got 3 streams scheduled out. We are in addition to talking to my internet boyfriend on Thursday, we are also going to have a 5 p.m. stream. I just haven't picked out which one yet. I'm thinking it's going to be a reproductive justice presentation from the University of Chicago. So we're going to be doing that too. Anyway, that's what we have coming up, and I hope you guys appreciate it. Last thing before we get started is I do have a clip channel that is up and running. And so if you would like to subscribe to my clip channel, that'd be pretty great. Of course, this channel that you are watching on right now is pretty shadow banned on YouTube. It has been since August 16th. No, August 26th, 2020. I know the exact date. Because all my metrics were going up at a predictable clip, and then tanked into the ether. And over the years, I've tried to break the algorithm on the channel. Every once in a while I do it, but it's really hard and I have to post a lot of content and I have other stuff to do. So I decided to start a clip channel to start trying to just grow something organically from scratch again, because I also have changed a lot and my content has changed a lot since 2020. So it's probably the responsible thing to do. Anyway, if you want clips, if you want to support what I'm doing, please make sure you are subscribed to the clip channel, which is youtube.com/@thebestcult. And I put the link in the chat and I will pin it to the top at some point as we start this presentation. But please make sure you head over and subscribe. I really appreciate it. All right. That's all. Let's go back to the video. Oh, God, I'm so tired. I've never been so tired on a stream before. I just want to take a nap. Why do I have to watch gender equity? I mean, there's a very good chance that I might be extra spicy on this stream today. I hope everyone realizes that and is okay with that. And if you're not okay with that, well, that's just going to be the way it is. I'm sorry. I only have so much control over myself when I'm sleep deprived. Would enjoy watching a conversation between Lily Tang. I've talked to Lily. I've had Lily on the channel twice. I mean, they're older conversations, but I've had Lily on the channel. I love Lily. Lily's awesome. So maybe I should bring Lily back. I mean, Lily's running for Congress, so no, she's the best. She's awesome. Anyway, we are watching a new student orientation at the University of Pennsylvania that took place on August 27th of 2020. So it's a little bit older, but this was new student orientation. Okay, let's get this party started.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Serena. I use they, them pronouns in this space. I am the programming chair for Page. We're going to go into what Page is later, but quick introductions. Erica, do you want to go next?
Hi folks, I'm Erica and I'm the Page Education Chair. I use she, her pronouns.
Then Angela, you're not listed, but you should definitely introduce yourself as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Angela. I'm a rising senior. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the chair of Page.
So first to start off, a lot of the clubs at Penn are based upon binary gender, meaning they're like men or women's clubs. It's mostly because they're institutionalized and they're really old. It doesn't mean a lot of the clubs let in people of like non-binary, trans, lots of other people, but it depends on the club. Most of the part that's unfortunate about this is just that language is kind of isolating. A lot of clubs are like women's clubs or men's clubs, and that's obviously exclusionary. So I just wanted to put a disclaimer out there that binary gender is really unfortunate, and even more unfortunate is that a lot of Penn clubs subscribe to that binary. But that does not mean that it should exclude anyone from being a part of those clubs. It really just depends. This applies mostly to arts clubs and Greek society.
All right, I want to. Oh shit! I accidentally did that.
And
I wanted to.
emphasis.
Fuck! I was gonna clip that. Never mind. We're not gonna clip that. I will go back and get it later. God damn it! I'm not gonna mess around with this right now. Never mind.
Most of the part that's unfortunate about this is just that language is kind of isolating. A lot of clubs are like women's clubs or men's clubs. And
wait, did James Lindsay say something dumb on Twitter? James Lindsay, decolonization is a Marxist theory of the third world that seeks rebirth through... No! That's not what decolonization means, James, for fuck's sake! Did he literally say this? Hang on. Stand by. Did he literally say this? I'm pulling it up right now. Seriously, James, seriously. Yes, he did. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hang on. Let me show. James Lindsay is retweeting. Someone says the naked truth of decolonization evokes for us the searing bullets and bloodstained knives which emanate from it. For if the last shall be first, this will only come to pass after a murderous and decisive struggle between the two protagonists. Okay, here is the deal. And here is why James Lindsay is obviously and clearly wrong. And if James doesn't want to do his homework to actually listen to what real people say in the real world, then I am fine with continuing to call him out and correct him because I don't give an F anymore. Decolonization, okay. Colonization or colonialism is when the collective land of the indigenous people is taken by the settler colonists or the settlers or the capitalists, what have you, and privatized under the oppressive force of capitalism. You might also hear it called imperialism. Imperialism is thought like colonialization is thought to be like a subset of imperialism. Lenin said that imperialism is the highest form of capitalism. So basically, for all intents and purposes, it means the same thing so far as we're concerned. There's not enough difference in it for it to really matter, at least right this second. So if colonization is taking indigenous land that was under the collective, because the left are collectivists, and privatizing it under the oppressive force of capitalism, then decolonization is removing capitalism and returning the privatized land to the collective. Now, where James Lindsay is correct is that can, though doesn't necessarily always, but can require violent revolution. And the left is not afraid of engaging in violent revolution. And the left pretty much believes that they're going to need to engage in violent revolution in order to overthrow capitalism in the United States, but that's a different thing for right now. But engaging in violent revolution is not actually their first choice. It's almost like the inevitable conclusion, but it is not their first choice. And if you look at what happened in Palestine, there were many protests before Hamas did the October 7th thing where they paraglided into Israel. There were, and I'm not saying Hamas was justified by any stretch. Denounce. Do not co-sign. I don't want anyone taking this shit out of context. But what I will say is there were many, 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 many efforts made to protest and push back in other ways that were not overtly violent prior to October 7th. And all of those efforts were exactly the same decolonization efforts, even though they did not engage in violent revolution. Okay? In the United States, when they are decolonizing things in the United States, they usually don't engage in violence. Now, they might be annoying, but that is not the same thing as engaging in violence. For James Lindsay to say that all decolonization is inevitably violent revolution is not only factually wrong, but it also ignores all of the other equally dangerous decolonization efforts that are designed to abolish private property in this country that do not involve violent revolution. If you look at efforts to defund the police, abolish the police, to decriminalize crime, to get rid of cash bail and things like that, those are all efforts to decolonize the carceral system. If you look at things like the Chaz was not violent. Well, I mean, like you might be able to say it was violent. I mean, people died in the Chaz, but the creation of the Chaz was not violent in and of itself. Annoying, yes, it was annoying, but it wasn't a violent revolution. It wasn't. If you look at the attacks on parental rights, which all come from the far left, which are designed to abolish the nuclear family because they believe they need to abolish the nuclear family in order to abolish capitalism, none of those efforts involve violent revolution. All of those efforts come from the form of policies and laws that they enact when they get into positions of power. So for James Lindsay to say that decolonization is literal murder, it can be, but that's not the full story. And if you don't understand the full story, you're actually missing a lot of what they're doing in the real world in order to decolonize every part of society, which again, decolonization means removing the oppressive force of capitalism. So, again, because James is not hinged into reality and James only looks at papers written by philosophers, his application to the real world is not a completely accurate version of reality. I'm sorry, James, but that is just the truth. Thank you, Tayton, for bringing that to my attention. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it. All right, let's go back. Let's go back and go back to our video. No one cares about accuracy. No one cares about nuance except us. That's it. Whatever.
Obviously exclusionary. So I just wanted to put a disclaimer out there that binary gender is really unfortunate, and even more unfortunate is that a lot of Penn clubs subscribe to that binary. But that does not mean that it should exclude anyone from being a part of those clubs. It really just depends. This applies mostly to arts clubs and Greek society clubs, but there are always exceptions to those rules.
If your only focus, I need you guys to listen. I know I'm sleep deprived and I might not be as succinct as I usually am. Here is the point. If your only focus is on violent revolution, you are missing the fucking boat on every other thing the left is doing that is designed to slowly push society towards that end goal. There are a lot of steps in between colonization and decolonization that are not violent revolution. And all of those steps matter. And all of those steps are, quite frankly, far more dangerous to most people than violent revolution is. So if you, again, this is why James Lindsay is being irresponsible. If you're saying that the only thing that we care about is violent revolution, then you're missing the goddamn boat, and you're missing all the steps that come before the violent revolution that could have stopped the violent revolution before it ever began. That's the point. But no, we don't think in the big picture. We think in what's in front of us right now, and instant gratification and Twitter clout and all that bullshit. Whatever.
I'm gonna read this quote by Kimberly Crenshaw, the founder or the person who named intersectional feminism and came up with this definition. Intersectional feminism is essentially the interconnected nature of social categorizations such as race, class, and gender as they apply to given individual or group regarded as creating overlapping and interdependent systems of discrimination or disadvantage. But obviously that's a lot of words, and it could take a while to really take that in. But essentially, intersectional feminism, or I'm not even.
Can we reconstruct our government without communism? No. No. This is why I'm an anarcho-capitalist. Burn it all to the ground. You cannot reconstruct the government without communism. Full stop.
Intersectional feminism, but intersectionality is how we experience life based on our overlapping identities.
This slime
so
is like
as
playing
you know,
with a Rice
there's not
Krispie square.
one form of privilege, or there's not one way to be oppressed and to be a marginalized group. So intersectional feminism takes into account all those different identities and backgrounds that create a person's life, and that sort of creates how they navigate life and how they feel and enter spaces. And before we really get started, I would like to read this land acknowledgement by Chelsea Avowal from Beyond Territorial Acknowledgements. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather are the ancestral lands of the Lenni Lenape people, whose presence and resilience in Pennsylvania continues to this day. We take this opportunity to honor the original caretakers of this land and recognize the histories of land theft, violence, erasure, and oppression that has brought our institution and ourselves here, aka Penn. We think of territorial acknowledgements as sites of potential disruption. They can be transformative acts that to some extent undo Indigenous erasure. However, these acknowledgements discomfort both those speaking and hearing the words. The fact of Indigenous presence should be forced non-Indigenous people to confront their own place on these lands. So as you go through your next 4 or more years of Penn, the acknowledgement is essentially just remind you, whose land we are on, and what.
I know what I think the answer to this is, but I want to know what other people think the answer is. How would you guys answer this? Is there a motherland or fatherland in socialism? I know how I would answer this, but I want to hear from others. Pop quiz. We've never covered this before, so you guys are going to have to think abstractly. Is there a motherland or a fatherland in socialism? The collective. Just land, exactly, because there's no gender under socialism. Good catch, Kristen. Gray one says Soviet Union. Two ladies. I think you're on the right track. Yep, because they don't want the gender binary. But they don't believe land can be owned, guys. They don't believe that land can be owned. So can there be a motherland? They don't believe in borders. They think that borders are a form of capitalism. So can there be a mother and fatherland under socialism if land can't be owned and they don't believe in borders? I would say no. There are only, exactly, great conservative, exactly. This is what we learned yesterday. There are only caretakers of the land. They want everyone. Well, they don't want everyone. No. Not everyone is equal. Equality has nothing to do with this. They want equity. Equity and equality are not the same thing. They don't believe in borders, not unless they mean the whole. That's where I was going with it. The entire earth, the whole world is the motherland or the fatherland that they want to create. It's the whole world. They are globalists, not in the same way that the WEF is. That's a different thing. Remember, WEF, Klaus Schwab, not the same thing as the radical revolutionary socialists. They might have the same end goal, but they're like two teams fighting for the same trophy, and they're going to go like this at some point, and we're all going to be stuck in the middle of it. It's going to be great. Well done.
What occurred on this land, the violence that occurred in this land that allowed us to be here.
And because we're all virtual and people are coming from lots of different places, I encourage you to also check out what your land is, who was at your land, like wherever you are now. It's very easily accessible to look up online. Yeah. All right. So now we're gonna get into the good stuff. Good is relative. I don't mean like that was bad. I mean like the club stuff. All right. So the 6B is a coalition of minority group umbrella groups for Penn's campus. There are 6 of them, each correlating with the identities listed on the screen. The 6B works to represent these minority groups to the administration. They each have a diverse set of coalition members, constituent members, all corresponding to their identities. So like Paige has a bunch of gendered groups, APSC has a bunch of Asian Pacific Islander groups, etc. Each of these clubs, each of the 6B clubs originates out of a cultural center on Penn's campus. Ours is the wonderful Women's Center, who Charisse is representing today, and we're going to introduce them in a second. But these cultural centers are located all across Penn's campus. Maku, Patch, and La Casa are in the basement of Arch, which means probably nothing to you right now. But they're easy to find once you come back on campus, and we'd be happy to show them to you whenever we're back. The 6B also works together to do joint advocacy. Some of the main things that the 6B has been doing is advocating to move the cultural centers onto Locust Walk, specifically to replace the fraternities, advocating for sexual diversity, sexual harassment and diversity.
Well, so Kenneth says this is why they're anti-nationalist, thus MAGA communism. MAGA communism is bullshit. I hope people understand that. Like, any idea that there is such a thing as MAGA communism is retarded to like the nth goddamn degree. But what I will say is this: we watched a presentation not too long ago, I want to say in like the last 2 weeks, in which they flat out said that nationalism is fascism. So, and of course, we know that they define fascism as free market capitalism. So nationalism equals fascism, which equals free market capitalism. How do I know the WEF is a separate entity? Because I have spent the last 3 years of my life tracking the real socialist activists in the country, not reading the dead philosophy papers. I track the real activists. I watch what they're doing. I listen to their training. I listen to their presentations. I go undercover at their events, and they hate the WEF and they hate Klaus Schwab. And no, they aren't being funded by them. They're being funded by publishing and they're being funded by academia, but they're not being funded by the WEF globalists. And and how you can tell if your influencers know what they're talking about is if they confuse the radical revolutionary socialists with the WEF and the globalists, they have no effing clue what they're talking about, and you should stop listening to them immediately, because those are two separate and competing groups. They may have the same goals, but they do not share the same values. They're going to fight at some point. They're going to fight. So they are not the same entity. We have watched countless hours of this. We know what they think. They do not like the WEF, and that's all I'm going to say about it. Jackson Hinkle is a moron. I don't know, like it continually pains me, the people that get popular on the internet, because they're all just so stupid. They're all so stupid.
The faculty trainings, and then getting more gender neutral bathrooms across campus, which are not widespread. Each of the 6B has their own advocacy efforts, but these are some of the main ones. All right, with that, Charisse, would you like to talk about PwC real quick?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Charisse Laudham, and I'm the director of Penn Women's Center. I would like to thank Paige for inviting us to just say hello to you and to basically welcome you to Penn, but also welcome you to Penn Women's Center. We are one of 9 confidential resources on Penn's campus, and we work with students, staff, and faculty of all identities. So I know you can appreciate what Serena was doing.
The Penn's Women's Center works with all identities. Now, I don't begrudge anyone that, but if you're going to have a women's center, shouldn't that women's center actually serve women?
Discussing in the first couple of slides. We're one of the oldest women's centers in the country. We were founded in 1973, and basically we're a safe, calm, and welcoming space.
Can I just say too, I'm having flashbacks right now. This is the sleep deprivation talking. You guys are gonna get some weird stuff out of me today. I'm having weird flashbacks right now to when I worked in college admissions, because for the first several years after I graduated from college, I worked in college admissions. And so I had to be one of the people that was giving the tours around campus and giving the fucking presentations and doing the new student orientation and doing the open houses and things like that, doing college fairs and stuff like that, which is a great job to have when you're first out of college, because you get to travel around and you get to admissions people generally are young and stuff like that. But I'm having really bad flashbacks right now to when I had to do this stuff, and in my head I'm thinking, this is such bullshit, F this place, whatever. But you have to put on a professional presentation publicly. I just want to say that I'm really happy that I'm no longer in that world and I no longer have to shill bullshit for a living, because people that work at colleges are dead inside. I just didn't realize it when I was younger because I didn't have life experience, but I realize it now, and I'm thankful every day I can be snarky on the internet. So I appreciate you guys for allowing me to do that.
For studying, relaxing, hosting meetings, workshops, and we collaborate with many of the cultural resource centers and departments on campus. And we also engage with the greater community, the greater West Philadelphia community. So we advise and mentor many student groups, one of which is Paige, and I'm so proud of the work that Paige does, and we are proud to be mentors and advisors for them. So I would just like to extend a warm welcome. I hope that when this pandemic is over, we can invite you for a cup of tea. We also have a garden and a kitchen where you can cook your meals. And we also have a lending library that we are planning on expanding through the pandemic. So if anyone has ideas or suggestions on new literature and new books, we would welcome them. I also think, Serena, that Sanjana might be on here. I think I saw her name on here. I'm not sure, Sanjana, if you want to add to that.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sanjana. Thanks for that. Thanks so much to Serena, to Angela, to Erica, to all of you for gathering in this space. I think Charisse really offered everything that I would try to offer to you too that we're really looking forward to building and connecting with all of you who are here. And whatever that looks like, feel free to reach out to us as you feel comfortable. We're really aware that it's a very different fall semester than most of you are imagining. And we don't want to diminish that, but we also think there's a lot of possibility to connect and to learn about all of you, and hopefully just get to hear what you're hoping to experience while you're at Penn, and hopefully how you can get started on some of that while you're here, even in this virtual first semester. So that's all that I'll add on my end.
So thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, you can feel free to pass them along to Serena or Angela or any of the page board, but we would like to have this be a student-centered space. So we're going to hop off now, and our information is here that Serena thankfully typed up for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for coming.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. All right, awesome. All right, so back to PAGE. PAGE stands for the Penn Association for Gender Equity. We promote gender equity and social justice activism across Penn's campus in relation to gender. We serve as the umbrella group for gender for the 6B, and we have a wide variety of constituent groups spanning from Greek life, professional, gendered-oriented groups, social activist groups, and community spaces.
How is Greek life going to go non-binary? Is that happening at Penn? Is that happening other places? I mean, I know there have been like lawsuits when like trans women try to join like sororities and stuff like that because like the non-trans women are not on board with that. But is that actually something that's happening? Because I don't know. That'd be something, I guess.
Those are some of the clubs that we're going to be going through. We do also have a lot of advocacy that we do on our own, separate from the 6B. Some of them include we're trying to get the sexual harassment trainings for faculty. We're trying to improve the anonymous sexual assault reporting form system that's going through Title IX right now. When we're back on campus, we have a menstrual product distribution that goes through certain buildings on campus. And then we're trying to mandate and enforce mandatory consent and bystander trainings for fraternities and Greek life on campus. So that's PAGE. Angela, did I miss anything? You want to add anything?
No, that sounds really good. And we'll go over later about ways that you all can get involved in PAGE too.
Okay, so Freshman Fellows is a reoccurring program that happens the first semester of every year. It's basically meant to be a space where freshmen can comfortably analyze their relationship with intersectional feminism, along with looking at, types of activisms that have occurred throughout the years, different movements, all the waves of feminism. And it's meant for them to sort of analyze the meaning of inclusivity, especially being on a college campus, what's inclusive, our own implicit biases on small and large scales. And really the goal of Freshman Fellows is, as it says here, to create a healing community among the fellows, their facilitators, and PAGE. For a lot of freshmen, besides like this preceptorial, Freshman Fellows will really be their real true introduction to PAGE. So it is a program that you apply to. The application for it will be available on Monday the 7th, which isn't too far from now, and then it'll close Friday, September 18th at midnight, which gives about a two-week window to fill it out. And it's open to freshmen and transfer students. And it'll span over the course of 8 Sundays to sort of be able to, so we can cover an assessment of assortment of topics. And each cohort session will be 2 hours long. This is really just a brief introduction of Freshman Fellows. If you guys have any more questions, then that's my email right down there. You can ask in the chat and I'll be sure to respond to you.
In addition to like the education and community building, it's a great way to meet other freshmen that are also interested in gender equity. And then also a great way to, a lot of Erica is a former freshman fellow. I'm a former freshman fellow. I believe Angela is a former freshman fellow. Lots of freshman fellows end up also being on page board if that's something that's interesting to you. Not something you have to think about now. Also board members that are not freshman fellows.
I was wondering who this was, Akshay.
Lots of good connections and good community building. All right.
Now we
Reminder
know.
that you can feel free to drop questions and comments or ask us to slow down or speed up in the chat. Okay. Into the clubs. Erica?
Oh, sorry, I was answering a question. So Penn Fem.
I'm not taking a bunch of notes right now, but I will say that like going back and finding some of these links later is going to be great fodder for woke bullshit on Penn's campus. So I'm just making kind of like a mental note for myself to do that. I'm not doing that right now, but it's not like they're going to take the presentation down or anything. And we have it on stream anyway, so we can just go back and look later.
This is it's a constituent page. It's a club for women of color, mostly Black women, to discuss education-based discussions, environment, based on their intersecting feminist identities, and they explore themes of feminism and network with others interested in gender equity. It's really, I've been to a couple Penn Feminist meetings. It's really a laid back, like chill space. They have different topics every meeting, and they really just, it's an open space. They discuss, they share their thoughts about it. And yeah, like, it's not super, I wouldn't say it's not like super like mind-boggling and hard analyzation. It's really just a space where you can come, event session, a rant session, it's whatever you need it to be in that space, honestly. But yeah. Sister is a group specifically for Black women, and I'm gonna read their little blurb here. Sister support is a support group dedicated to fostering a sense of sisterhood and purpose among students who identify as women of color at the University of Pennsylvania. This communal purpose is fostered through facilitated discussions, personal sharing and networking, leadership development, and information and resource sharing. Sister also works to inspire, and fortify women of color during their collegiate journey by encouraging the development of substantial relationships with faculty, staff, and alumni of color. Again, like Penn Fem, Sister is also just a space where, I know it says women of color here, but where Black women can come together and, talk about what kind of spaces they feel comfortable in at Penn, what kind of spaces they don't feel comfortable in at Penn, and just talking about their Penn life together and being able to form a community based on those shared experiences. And then Period at Penn is working to end period poverty and stigma through service, education, and advocacy. It's also currently working. Is Period at Penn working with Page? Yeah, I think it's working with Page and the UA, which is like student government, to provide free pads and tampons throughout campus in all of our bathrooms.
Mujeres Empoderadas is a similar community space, but for Latinx or Hispanic women. They do mentor experience, bonding, and education experience.
So period poverty is basically these groups that are trying to get like free tampons put in bathrooms and things like that. Like the I think the logic behind it is like women in third world countries don't have access to like pads and tampons, and so they compensate for that not by sending those women in third world countries pads and tampons, but by making sure there are free pads and tampons in women's restrooms. Which I'm gonna be honest, I'm in favor of this policy, man. If you're not a girl, you might not understand, but it is a pain in the ass when you're out and you need a product and you can't find it anywhere, and they don't even have the quarter machines anymore, and you don't even have quarters anyway because no one uses change anymore. So I'm actually in favor of like the free stuff in the bathrooms. I don't see a problem with that. I mean, if they're putting them in men's restrooms, that's just retarded. Yeah, that's true. They do try to get them in men's restrooms too, but as long as they're in the women's restroom, I'm cool.
Mostly for like community building and less so education. Great people in this space love it. They do a lot of like social interactions. They're the ones who organized and led we do like a Galentine's thing during Valentine's Day, and they like spearheaded that experience. So yeah, for Latinx and Hispanic women. Spice Collective, similar, but for API women. This one is a discussion space for women.
They called the group for Asian women the Spice Collective. The Spice Collective. Okay, whatever, fine.
Non-binary people for API, as I said. They have a cohort per year. They discuss like a wide range of topics, and they do a lot of preparation for it. I also know that Spice Collective has a mentorship program. Angela, correct me if I'm wrong, but they pair mentees with mentors. So that's another aspect of Spice Collective. Angela,
did you guys hear the story about this couple in Massachusetts? Of course, this would be in goddamn Massachusetts. This would only happen in Massachusetts. Where, did you guys hear the story about this couple in Massachusetts that like they have this migrant thing going on where they're all like, they're hosting the migrants in the airport at Logan, and they took over the Roxbury Community Center, and Roxbury Community Center was actually a thing for the community, and now it's no longer for the community. And so then the government in Massachusetts basically set out to like the liberal population in Massachusetts. They were like, hey, does anyone want to take in migrants? Because we have an obligation to, you know, protect the migrants and all that stuff. And so this family in Massachusetts basically called them and said, we'll take in a family. And within 1 hour, they had dropped off a Haitian family at this family's home. But the best part of this is, so all of a sudden this family of do-gooders is like, we'll take in migrants. They zoomed right over a Haitian family to have them move into their home and everything. And then there was a follow-up news report. And like, you can't make this up. The white liberal lady that took in the black Haitians was like, this is like having your own personal chef. Because the Haitian mother had started cooking for the and the Haitians, by the way, don't speak English. They don't speak English at all. So this white liberal family took in this group of black immigrants that don't speak English, and the woman just started cooking for them. And then the white liberal lady went on the news and was like, it's like having your own personal chef. The white liberals of Massachusetts are bringing back slavery and indentured servitude, and they don't even realize it. Yo, Haitian food is delicious. Don't knock the Haitian food. I wouldn't be upset if I had a Haitian cooking for me, but do you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to go on the news and say, wow, this Haitian immigrant that I took into my home, I now have my own personal chef. Yep, the house was also very clean. I wonder who did that. Yep. Yep. Anyway.
Before, right? Do you want to speak to that? Okay, never mind. Yeah, Spice Collective is also great. Another like community cohort building group. Penn Non-Cis is the non-cisgender, trans, non-binary community at Penn. Mostly it's a group chat for us to vent. I'm part of this community. We also give
she's definitely
Trans 101 presentations to clubs that request them. Mostly
she's definitely queer. Doesn't she look like she's gender fluid with her she her pronouns? Thank you, Tayton. Basically, they have all these intersection groups. Yes, these are all of the gender equity and intersection groups at Penn that new students can get involved with to hasten their indoctrination into woke Marxist bullshit.
A like discussion and community building space, because there are few and far between non-cis people at Penn. But it's super easy to be a part of, no application required, you just get added to the chat. And yeah, it's just a community, just another community club. Do I need to define cisgender versus non-cisgender? Cis is like gender assigned at birth. Non-cis, other
Is
trans
queer.
and non-binary
Is
people
queer.
changing or transitioning gender. I'm non-binary, so not identifying on the binary. Sorry, I should have defined that earlier. And then Own It is a like women's empowerment conference series. They organize an annual conference and summit. Own It is a larger organization, and then they have a UPenn branch. They have a lot of money thrown behind them, and they also meet out of the Women's Center.
Oh, do
their
they?
main thing is to organize the summit
Who
every
funds
year
them?
and bring speakers in. I'm gonna pause, check the chat. Any questions for anyone? Yes, Paige does have a listserv. We will supply it at the end. Okay, cool. Erica.
Okay, so Penn has a lot of professional clubs, seeing as how the world loves our business school. But I'm not gonna go through each of their individual descriptions since there's so many of them.
Oh yeah,
I'm
the
gonna
Trump kids went to
just
Penn.
go through like their names for you guys, and if you have any questions, then I will tell you the specifics of them. All of these clubs are gender centered or gender specific. So they all have like women in the title, and they're a space where non-men can, since the business world and all of these are
The clubs for women are for non-men.
so men centered. These are spaces where non-men can come together and I won't say uplift each other, but yeah. So there's Penn's Women's Biomedical Society, Society for Women Engineering. Because I'm in SWE technically, and basically I can explain this one. Basically what SWE does is they provide contacts to different jobs, I'd say, and we have a lot of events where recruiters come and people can talk about their major with these different recruiters and potentially get internships with them. And then there's Wharton Women, Women in Computer Sciences. A lot of these are major specific. So if you're in a specific major, then you'll probably automatically add it to these. Is there more? And then the next slide, Serena. Women in Physics, and then Smart Women Security. So if you guys have any questions about these, then just drop them in the chat and I'll go through the specifics with you. But there's just so many that I don't want to spend too much time going over these.
Yeah, the main benefit to these is finding community with other women that are like-minded in your major, and then also connecting to alumni and like professional support. There's also this one, Erica.
And then and then Global Women Empowerment. I will read this one. So Global Women Empowerment hosts self-defense workshops to takes care of annual educational costs of marginalized girls in Africa. It is dedicated to working for gender equity and activism through all walks of life. It is a small team that tries to make impact in the local Philadelphia community and beyond through volunteering, fundraising, and hosting different events on campus. They also host.
I want a club for women in love with the Czech president. Well, apparently at least there'll be a couple of crazy bitches over on Twitter that will take you up on that, Terry.
Cultural awareness movie nights where they hope to start a campaign to raise awareness on sex trafficking, domestic violence, child labor, and gender inclusivity. And they hope to expand their club and bring in diverse ideas from all students of varying backgrounds. So if this is the kind of activism that really speaks to you, then I will email Ryan, which is the email that's provided there, and talk to them and try to get it.
Erica, someone asked, is Smart Women Securities more of a financial literacy org, or is it more for women in Wharton? Angela responded, I think they focus on helping women in Wharton who are interested in going into the finance investment field, and they do a lot of panels and networking. I'll also add that there are financial literacy efforts that are separate from gendered, but these are the gendered ones as well. Yeah. All right, Greek life. This is a very, very brief encapsulation because if you're interested in Greek life, they have lots of other information for you if you go down that path.
So the Penn Helen Council is basically, it serves as a governing body over 8 of the National Penn Helen Council sororities on campus. So it's like an umbrella organization for all the other sororities on campus. And it aims to unite sororities on the fundamental principles of sisterhood, service, leadership, and commitment to being individuals.
By the way, I just want to point out that what we're seeing in this orientation is probably not exclusive to Penn. So if you have kids that are going to college, just keep in mind that, like, literally before they get to campus, they are already being inundated with, here are all of the gender activities that you can get involved with in order to become good social justice activists. So this is not just going on at Penn. I'm sure this is going on everywhere.
High standards of womanhood. So in the way that page is an umbrella organization for all our constituents, that's essentially what the Penn Hellenic Council is for the sorority.
Penn Helen is also a constituent member of PAGE.
So I'm going to go through these sororities and I'll just tell you what specific identity they align with. So Alpha Kappa Delta Phi is a sorority surrounded around Asian American women issues and in the university and community. Delta Sigma Theta is a sorority centered around Black women and the Black community. Sigma Psi Zeta is a multicultural Asian interest Greek organization. Lambda Theta Alpha Latin sorority is a Latin American sorority.
And like I said, if you're interested in Greek life, keep a lookout, follow PanHel, or check out any of these orgs. They have a lot of like social media outreach, and they will get the word out. So as long as you're looking, you will find interest in Greek life. Yeah. All right. The arts at Penn are kind of a big deal. Acapella is what we're most well known for. We also have the big umbrella group for arts is the Performing Arts Council, PAC. If you come to campus, our like PAC center is called the Platt Arts House. Within PAC, there's the Dance Arts Council, DAC, the Acapella Arts Council, AC, Singers, Musicians, and Comedians, SMAC, and the Theater Arts Council, TACI. Each of those groups serve as umbrella groups, much like PAGE for other organizations. There are about like 12, it's anywhere between like 6 to 12 organizations within each umbrella group, depending. And each of them is different. So the whole point is that like each group, it has its own experience, and you want to like join a gender, like there's, here, the examples are these PAGE constituents on the right. These are a few of the gendered arts groups. So Bloomers is a comedy sketch group. They used to be branded as an all-female comedy sketch group. They're now opening to essentially all non-men. And then all Sirens non-men. Is a non-male singing and theater group. Both of these groups foster like community and also do arts outreach.
Can we just reflect for the fact that like at least back in 2020, maybe things are different today, and we should probably go look at the language on their website or something, but like it was considered acceptable in the peak woke era to define women's groups by not being a man. Like men were literally the basis of definition for the women's groups. Does anyone else like, maybe it's just because like I'm a child of like the 90s. Well, I'm a child of the 80s technically, but like the 90s were my formative years. Like, is this something that just strikes, maybe it's just like the women in the chat is like a little bit perverse, that our sense of identity has to come from like not being men? Because I've never thought of myself in my life as a non-man. I mean, sure, there are times I wish I was a boy. There are many times, like, my life probably would have been a lot easier if I was born a boy. A lot easier. A lot easier. But even on those times when I wished I was a boy, because I wanted to play on the baseball team instead of the softball team, because I thought softball was stupid and boring, but baseball was much more fun. And I got to hang out with my friends because I had more friends with like boys than with girls, because like I'm a tomboy. It's the way it goes. Like, I never thought of myself as a non-man. And I don't like it.
If you're interested in arts, they're doing also their own preceptorial.
Hang on,
So
got
check
a
that
super chat from Tayton. Thank you, Tayton. At the start of games, you pick your attributes, and at the start of Penn, you pick your activist route. It takes all of us. Indeed. Indeed. It's like a choose your own adventure of activism.
F-Word is also a publicist magazine. They do a biannual magazine, and then they also have a blog. You can apply to write, edit, do art for F-Word. Super fun, super easy. And I would suggest that everyone go there if they're interested in, they do like arts and written things. So it can be poetry, articles, visual art, any kinds of those things.
Yeah. Wait. Exactly. What is the F word? Because God knows it can't be female, because that would be acknowledging that an adult human female is like a thing. F word as in feminist? Maybe. But I'm going to bet that F word as in fillate. Maybe even that, bot. Maybe even that. F word as in fascist? Maybe. Yep.
So consent collabs at Penn focus around sexual violence and sexual violence prevention. Abuse and sexual assault prevention are one of the consent collabs at Penn ASAP. Basically, it's a group of undergraduate and graduate students dedicated to raising awareness about sexual violence on campus. ASAP hosts discussions on topics ranging from feminist and political theory to the media and US culture, as well as documentary screenings, speakers, and other events. And in the spring, ASAP plans and sponsors Take Back the Night, the campus-wide protest of sexual violence and a survivor vigil. And then PAVE, a lot of you, if you've already done or will be doing your consent circles during NSL, they're hosted by PAVE. So PAVE are Penn Anti-Violence Educators. It is a peer education group that is focused on how to be an active bystander. PAVE members, which Serena, Angela, and I are committed students who are trained to facilitate workshops and trainings to their peers about the important role bystanders can play in ending sexual and relationship violence on campus. And then applications for PAVE, if you do become interested in joining, are in the spring for sophomores, and you can apply every year, not just your sophomore year. And then PAVE educators, because they're hired by the university, are PAVE students by Penn through PVP, which is Penn Violence Prevention, and then PAVE is a subset of that.
Sorry. There you
go. Serena, do you want to do Penn V-Day?
A campaign to heighten awareness about sexual violence and domestic violence. The club, it used to be, if you've ever heard of the Vagina Monologues written by Eve Ensler, that's the old version. The club more recently in 2019 found that those monologues were transphobic and exclusive. So they created their own brand called Penn Monologues. It's essentially the same show, They collect pen-written monologues, poems, dance pieces, things like that, and then put on a show to raise money and awareness. The money goes towards WAR, which is a sexual violence and domestic violence organization in Philly. And the awareness is for like the Penn community. It happens every year. I've been a part of this, so if you have questions, go ahead and ask me. And then there's also contact information as well. All right, last subset, lots of activist clubs at Penn. Erica, you want to start?
Yeah. So Police Free Penn is a new activist club.
Police Free Penn.
I'm pretty sure it started this year with the
pop quiz for the chat. Oh, god damn it. God damn it. Messed up again. Hang on. Hang on.
Like-minded in your major, and then
hang on. Where the fuck was it? Police Free Penn. F word.
Okay.
Sorry, my B.
They collect pen-written monologues, poems, dance, which is a.
I think that's the next one. I don't want to.
Is an opinion.
Okay. Pop quiz for the chat.
Police?
Why is it a big deal that they have a group called Police Free Penn? What does that have to do with socialism? Police Free Penn, an assembly aiming to abolish policing and transform community security at the University of Pennsylvania. What does that have to do with socialism? Does anyone know? Because police protect the capitalist private property. That's right. Socialists believe that the police are the managers of private property. Instead of hiring more police officers, they want less police officers because the police is capitalist and they fight to uphold capitalism. Yup. Police protects private property. The police protects private property. They're the managers of private property. Because socialists think the police come from slavery and uphold private property, aka capitalism. They believe the police uphold capitalism. AC or AB means all cops are bastards. Yup. The biggest thing, guys, like so high level, one of the major issues for the socialist left is abolition. Abolition means abolishing the police, abolishing the prison industrial complex. They want to abolish all policing. They want to abolish all prisons. They very literally believe, and they are teaching your children this in schools at the UCLA School of Education, specifically, they do believe that once they implement the Marxist utopia and they have equity, there will be no more crime because people won't have to commit crime because they will have everything they need. So abolition, anytime you hear the word abolition, it's most often referring to abolish the police, abolish the carceral system. That is one of their biggest issues that they care about. It overlaps with almost everything. So abolition doesn't just mean the abolition of like private property, although it can mean that too. Most often it's a reference to the police.
So PFP is an assembly aiming to abolish policing and transform community safety at the University of Pennsylvania. So right now, Penn has its own like police organization on campus while also funding the Philadelphia police. So Police Free Penn calls for Penn to essentially stop funding the Philadelphia police and to also de-establish its own police force on campus and in the West Philly area.
Also, as a quick thing for all of these clubs, the best thing about these activist organizations, they all have really great in-depth explanations for their missions and goals. So we're going to give like a really quick overview of kind of what they do. But if you go to any of their websites, link trees, etc., they have a much more in-depth explanation. They know a lot more than we do. This is kind of like a brief overview.
Fossil Free Penn calls for the university to divest their $8.8 billion investment for fossil fuel assets. You know, we all know what the fossil fuel industry is doing to our environment, especially with global warming. And
Alexis, when I say that socialists believe that all crime will be abolished under socialism, What I mean is, socialists believe that all crime will be abolished under socialism. They believe that when people have everything they need, which would include mental health care, because there's going to be free universal health care, there's going to be free housing, there's going to be free food, everything's going to be free. They believe they will literally abolish all crime.
Climate change. And so basically, FFP calls for Penn to divest the money they put into fossil fuel assets. So these are the three calls: to stop new investments in the fossil fuel industry, to remove direct and commingled holdings on the top 200 fossil fuel companies within 5 years, and to reinvest a portion of the extricated funds into clean energy assets. And then the Student Labor Action Project, SLAP, this is a really like short sentence about it, but
all unions are
essentially SLAP
socialist.
aims to, I won't say fight for campus workers' rights, but it aims to amplify the voice of campus workers. And so SLAP tries to work directly with campus workers and to bring their demands and their needs to the university forefront, because as students, we do have a certain voice and power in Penn campus because we do pay tuition, and typically we keep everyone on Penn employed. So SLAP tries to use that privilege and advantage to really amplify the voice of campus workers.
The Coalition Against Fraternity Sexual Assault, or CAFSA, was created to try and expel fraternities from Locust Walk, which is the main street through campus at Penn, and replace them with cultural centers, like we talked about, all the cultural centers that the 6B works out of, as well as like student wellness and student resource centers. Part of the work comes from like arguing the violence that fraternities and fraternity culture perpetuates, especially because where fraternities are located on campus, students, if they've experienced discrimination or violence in a fraternity, they're forced to walk by those houses and those places of trauma to get to class based on their location. So the long-term goal is to improve the consent culture at Penn, and also to reallocate the space towards cultural minorities and student wellness. BARS, Beyond Rest's Rethinking Systems of Oppression,
Abolishing
is the group that discusses like criminal justice and the like pitfalls.
And I want you guys to notice too, this was supposed to be a presentation about gender equity, and they've got all this police stuff integrated into it. That's not a coincidence, because this is not just a presentation about gender equity. This is a presentation about organizations within Penn that serve a far left political agenda. They haven't had one non-leftist group in this presentation so far. Maybe the acapella group. I don't know. Acapella seems pretty lefty to me, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Tayton, the binary equals family and police. Prison equals prison. Excuse me. Prison, their goal is to attack the first to get to the latter. I don't understand the point you're making, Tayton. I don't actually see a connection between the police and the family. And the binary is connected to the family. So their goal is to attack the first to get to the latter. Attack the binary to get to the family. Oh, I see. Okay, I see. So what we're doing is we're saying the binary is they attack the binary to get to the nuclear family. They attack the police to get to the prison industrial complex. And their goal is to attack the first to get to the... Okay, I understand it. I'm tracking now. Again, I'm sleep deprived. Thank you for giving me an extra minute. Well, I mean, I'm sure lefty organizations are allowed there, but they're not going to promote them.
Criminal justice system. They do a lot of like book outreach, connecting to people behind bars, incarcerated people. Also, a lot of discussion bases to think about the problems with systems of incarceration and things like that. The Philly Education Equity Fund is not technically a Penn group. It's
not even a
umbrella group, and then they have a Penn branch.
Wow.
Their Instagram account that like functions directly with Philly is Fund Philly Schools. As I think Erica previously mentioned, Penn does not pay pilots or taxes for all of the land that they own, and Penn owns a lot of land. So because they don't pay taxes for all of that land, the public schools in West Philly are severely underfunded. And that's impacting not only the health of the students in West Philly, but also their education that they're getting. So this group, the Philly branch of this group, works to encourage Penn to pay pilots to better the education for the West Philly community. And then last but not least, we have the Radical South Asian Collective, or
Radical
RSAC.
means socialist.
This is a activist discussion and action created group for South Asian people on campus. Yeah, it's discussion for them, but also action for South Asian communities. This is just a smattering of the clubs that we were able to collect from our constituents and otherwise. This is a website for other Penn clubs. I'm warning you now, like I said, there are hundreds of Penn clubs. So be careful going into that hole. There are just a lot of us, and there are a lot of things. Also, not all clubs are active. Sometimes clubs are listed on Penn clubs that haven't been active for a while, or will say they're active but don't necessarily have any current students working on it. If you have questions about that, feel free to reach out to us. But yeah, there's so many opportunities for people to get involved, especially because y'all are remote and have to like try and find a freshman experience. Clubs are a really good way, in my opinion, to do that. You'll have a community to come back to when you're back on campus.
God, can you imagine your first year of college is remote? What a letdown, man. And I say that as someone that I did my master's and my doctorate online, and I have no regrets about that because, well, first off, I didn't have to deal with any woke bullshit, but like secondly, I actually learned much better online. Just because of like I feel like I retained a lot more information from it. I feel like overall, like I definitely learned more in my graduate coursework than I did in my undergraduate coursework. But man, like part of the point of going to college is having an on-campus experience. I loved my time at BU. I loved it. I loved Boston. I loved being on campus. I mean, it wasn't like perfect or anything, but like I thought it was great. And I cannot imagine, like, especially in a place like Penn or anywhere else, like having the first year of your college experience be remote. And by the way, you're probably still paying the full set of fees that go along with that. What bullshit.
And something to do, whether it's online or not. All right, we have time for some questions. We also have some prizes that the Women's Center was able to give us. If anyone's interested, if people are able to share some questions in the question and answer box, first few people to answer some questions can maybe get a prize. I think Angela was referring to freshman fellows in that last thing.
Oh no, I meant PAVE educators.
Ah, okay. Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
You can also speak out your questions. Have some pretty cool prizes.
I actually have a question.
You can get
so
a tote
for like
bag
the
and a
professional
pen.
clubs, I didn't see anything for like female in politics or female in law. Do you know if those clubs exist?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't like the biggest club, like politics related club on campus is Penn Dems. But they're not specifically like gender oriented, although they do
The
have like
Penn
groups within
Democrats
that.
are the biggest club on campus. Of course it is. The politics club.
If you want to drop your email to get a prize,
Of course it
you can do
is.
that. Just say prize in your text and we'll make sure Sharice sends you something. Okay, let me go from the beginning. How LGBT and gender inclusive is Penn in general? It's a good question. Honestly, it depends on what circles of Penn you're talking about. The LGBT Center is obviously very inclusive. The Women's Center is pretty inclusive. A lot of activist spaces are very inclusive when it comes to identity. Other spaces, not so much. It depends. If you want to ask like more specifically about like certain facets of Penn, feel free to do that. It does depend though. There are not like, there is no like violence or like there will no external, like it's not going to be like really, really bad, but there are like, you will hear like homophobic comments, things like that in certain spaces.
Bullshit.
Erica, you want to add on
Bullshit.
that?
Bullshit. I don't believe this at all. Come on.
I think like
Rampant homophobia
even
at Penn,
in LGBT spaces, depending on like how you identify or even the kind of body you're in, the kind of identities you hold, both your LGBT identity
you will
and
always be oppressed,
beyond
no matter
will
what.
also sort of determine what kind of experience you have within certain LGBT spaces. So we have like Lambda, which is one of the 6 B boards, and they hold meetings the first Tuesday of every month, I think. But then in addition, we also have like QPOC, which is a queer POC LGBT space, and what's the Jewish one? I forgot what it's called.
It's like Jabagel or Jewish bagel.
I'm going to make a t-shirt that just says oppressed capitalist. That would be hilarious.
Or something.
Yeah.
Oppressed capitalist.
So within our overarching LGBT spaces, there are like subgroups of that you might be more comfortable in rather than being in the more general LGBT space, depending on how your identities intersect with your LGBT identity.
Personally, I would just obviously like dip your toes in, test the waters in every space. Like you never know what your space is going to be like. It depends, honestly, and Penn is a big place, so it kind of depends. But yeah, sorry, if you have any more like specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I'm just
also sorry, Serena, find your Penn gay group chat. It'll be a nice group chat. It'll probably be it was one of my favorites coming into freshman
That's a
year.
funny idea, Terry. Thank you.
Ooh, this is a good question. How many clubs, organizations do you recommend we apply for? Ooh, okay. As y'all know, Penn students, we like to do a lot. Big common thing, lots of people love to apply for lots of different clubs and then they feel overwhelmed second semester. Erica did the opposite actually. And a big thing to recognize is lots of boards have elections in the spring, elections in the fall. You can also join a club a year later in sophomore year. It really depends on the club. Lots of different clubs have different time commitments and it depends on what you're doing in the club. Like Angela mentioned Penn Dems. Penn Dems is huge. Like most of the students on Penn's campus are a member of Penn Dems. Doesn't mean you really have to do much for them unless you're on their board.
Most of the students on campus are members of the Penn Democrats, and nobody was surprised.
A member of Penn Dems board is very different than being on Penn Dems. So like those are 2 different time commitments. I would just, if you want a number, I would say like start off with like 3 max.
I would say like apply for anything that you're like interested in, and then you can like join them all and then like see which ones you like or which ones you get into, and then like Serena said, like try not to be like super involved in more than 3 because that could be like really time consuming.
Also, like self-care, if you need to drop a club, totally fine. Just drop it. We're students first. And we're all overcommitted. That's just a common theme. Can you spotlight any fine arts clubs? You mentioned a lot of theater and a cappella clubs, but not any visual fine arts clubs. That's a good question. I actually don't know of any fine arts clubs. I think there's one, but I'm not sure of the name of it.
I think there's one called Penn Create, which is more arts-based.
They make like stickers at the end to like sell and then use the money to like make art with each other. That's the one I would check out. I would also check the fine arts department and then contact majors through there because the majors of the fine arts department will probably know of the clubs. Has there been any progress with getting frats off Locust Walk in the last few years? Good question. Check out CAFSA Penn. Fun fact, the Women's Center is in a former fraternity. So there is precedent to kicking fraternities off campus. Unfortunately, the precedent is after harm is done. So like if a really violent act of sexual violence is committed in a fraternity and Penn kicks them off, that's the only time when they're willing to do that. Also, there's a lot of money behind the frats. It's really complicated. I really encourage you to check out CAFSA Penn because I want to get to other questions and we only have 10 minutes left, but I could talk about this forever. So if you also want to reach out to me, my contact is on that page as well. Could you talk a little bit more about period at Penn? Angela, do you want to do that? You're friends with Eve.
I don't know like too much about it, but their main goal is trying to get like access to menstrual products, both across campus and to like other women in need in Philly. Recently they've had like some board turnover, so I'm not sure how active they are. But
they're also, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Period not at Penn is also a national or at least East Coast club. So if you're interested, like they'll probably have more information as well, even if it's not Penn oriented. Just check out like Period. That's the organization that reached out to Penn and then they glommed onto them as a branch of that. Are there any clubs specifically advocating for reproductive health and justice aside from Period at Penn? I don't think so. Reproductive health and justice.
I'm not sure, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I know a lot of people involved in like reproductive health and justice with like majors and minors, but I don't know of any clubs. Are there any religiously affiliated feminist groups? Not that I know of. There are a lot of religious affiliated groups, but I don't think any of them are feminist and religiously affiliated. Do you have to declare a major before you can join the professional clubs? Definitely, probably not. I mean, I can't confirm that, but probably not. Yeah, because you don't have to declare your major until the end of your sophomore year. So no, I would assume no. How has the administration responded to some of Paige's efforts? Biggest tactic, Angela, feel free to add on to this. Biggest tactic of the administration is to evade and delay. Say like make excuses, say like we have a 10-year plan or like things like that. That's their favorite thing. So that's why activist groups were created, mostly in order to pressure the administration from an external perspective. One that is not, the problem, like the 6B is a representative of minorities on campus. But activist groups are not affiliated with Penn, so they can like kind of push more aggressively.
I think
Angela?
just to add on, there have been like some wins, like we've gotten like gender neutral bathrooms on campus, like the menstrual product distribution was something that the student government helped us advocate for as well. So that started in a few.
All of this stuff, everything they're talking about, they are teaching college students to be activists. Do you guys see this? Like, this is all about social justice activism. This is the training grounds. This is where they learn how to do it. This is where they learn how to organize. This is what they learn how activism is. This is where they learn how to make demands. This is how they learn how to pressure the evil capitalist or the bourgeois into doing what they want them to do. This is how they teach it.
Buildings, something like we've been currently like working on the anonymous sexual assault reporting form, and so that's something that we're currently working with the Title IX officer on. So there's definitely like progress that's made. It's just like slow, like Serena said.
Can one of you drop the link to the presentation in the chat so people can get that?
Yeah.
And then last question, has any progress been made in response to CASA's demands? Not officially, because the administration does not like to acknowledge that we exist, even though we know they're terrified of us. Yes, there's been some like minor things. Like one of our demands was to have mandatory consent circles for all freshmen, and that happened this year. Obviously, Penn was not like, oh, this is because CAFSA that we did this, because that would be giving credit to an activist organization that is pressuring to them to do something they don't want to do. But that's one thing. Also, they offered to like bring the cultural centers out of the basement, which is another thing. Can you link the survey, Erica?
Yeah, I will relink it.
Oh, sorry.
It was at the top, but
you're right. CAPS is also going to be posting more about that in the next few weeks because it's our 1-year anniversary. So lots more information on that. Yes. Also, just a disclaimer, should have mentioned this before. We only have 6 prizes, so it was really going to be like the first 6 questions. I will get prizes to the first 6 people that said prize. I'm so sorry. That was really misleading. Okay. This is our information. Please fill out the survey for NSO. It's very easy. You have to know your Penn ID at the end.
And if you already dropped your, sorry, Serena.
No, go ahead.
If you already dropped your email in, we'll add you to the listserv, but you can also just click that link at the bottom of the presentation.
I wonder if my BU email is still working. I just thought of that.
I think that's all right, Serena, Erica?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
If you guys have any more questions, those are emails, and we will answer you.
I know I had an alumni email at BU at one point.
Yeah, we're super excited to see that all of you are interested in getting involved, and we can't wait to get to know you all better if you join Freshman Fellows and other programming. And good luck with your first week of school next week.
Huh. All right.
Bye, everyone.
I guess that's it, guys. So that was a rather lackluster presentation, but I also think it was interesting to watch. I mean, this was a college orientation from like a couple years ago. Thank you, Allison. Appreciate it. And I mean, it really does show you just like how much they push the activist stuff on students. And I think that that's actually really important to see because like of all of the hundreds of clubs at Penn, they chose to highlight all the activist ones. Those were the ones that especially pushing on the girls because again, that was a presentation specifically for gender equity or non-men. And presentations like that go on college campuses like all the time. So I think that was probably pretty representative. Dan says, do they do genital acknowledgements a lot? No, they don't do genital. Well, no, because they define all genders apparently in relation to men. So you're either a man or a not man. So I guess that's it. All right, guys, that is all I've got for today because I am tired. I did not get sleep last night. So I'm going to go and take a little nap and rest my eyes for a while. And maybe, depending on when I wake up and depending on if I feel like it, maybe I will do whatever podcast nitwits later. But if I don't do it, I still owe Trendlin to do it because I promised Trendlin I would do it after I made you guys watch Hormaxer. So I will do it at some point. I'm just not going to guarantee it's going to be tonight because there is a distinct possibility that I fall asleep and I don't wake up until tomorrow. Okay? I just want everyone to be prepared for that. But I will be waking up tomorrow because tomorrow on the stream at 5 p.m., we are going to be joined by Adam Green, and I'm really looking forward to this. And this is going to be a departure from socialism for a brief jaunt. And so make sure you come back tomorrow if you want to learn about what Adam Green thinks are the origins of Christianity and whether or not, you know, it was a massive worldwide psyop. Come and join us. Ask him questions. Ask him thoughtful questions. We don't ask shitposting questions. I don't care how offended the Christians or, quite frankly, the Jews are that I'm having this conversation, or even the Muslims, because he goes at like they're all Abrahamic religions, so he goes at all of them. So I don't care how anyone is, how offended anyone is. Come ask good questions. Be polite. And if you want to do some homework, then there is a playlist linked in the description of the live stream, and that goes right over to his Christianity Deception playlist. And you can get a little preview of what we're going to talk about. And again, good questions, okay? If you're coming and asking a question, I want you guys to be specific about it. I don't want some general, like, boring conservative Christian question. All right? We're better than that. Tim and Lindsay argument, what does that mean? What is that? Are Tim and James Lindsay arguing right now? Are they actually arguing though? Like arguing? Hang on. Are they actually arguing, Tate, or is there just like a back and forth? Hang on. God fucking damn it. God fucking hang on. If there's a Tim and James Lindsay argument, I'll weigh in on it, but like, hang on. What is James talking about? Your block of Sargon cuts deep for Tim. It seems like a debate you want to dodge, which is fine. You seem to want to not get into any pre-sup arguments because they're not politically expedient, not relevant to the moment. Again, fine. Maybe Tim sees it as needless. If Tim goes post-liberal, I'll probably block him too, at least if he runs his mouth that way or throws garbage in mine. Well. Someone's feeling uppity, aren't we, James? Someone is feeling uppity. James did a whole thread about Tim. Yo, man. Like, I mean, I'm not opposed to shitting on Tim Pool. Like, God knows I am not opposed to, like, shitting on Tim Pool, but this woman blocked me because I wouldn't bend the knee to her. No. Wait, no, I blocked her first. I blocked her. This woman reached out to me to try to use me for her documentary, and then I wouldn't bend the knee to her conservative Christian bullshit. And she got pissed off at me on Twitter, and she wanted me to agree with, like, authoritarian conservatism. And I was like, nah, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. And so I blocked her. And then she unsubscribed from my Substack, and she said, I will not support someone who would violate my rights. I'm like, not agreeing with you is actually not a violation of your rights, Julie. But whatever. Oh, they are fighting. Oh, shit. Okay. Tim says, this is a mischaracterization. The issue is constant posts with no context, blocking people trying to make good faith arguments, and snide quote tweeting them after. And then James says, I'm not obligated to give you context. I repeat points over and over again because I found it works where much else doesn't. James doesn't repeat points over and over again. I don't know a time when James has ever repeated points over and over again. 2, I don't accept your definition of good faith. 3, laughing my fucking ass off. If you want to know why I use short, almost sloganish comments over and over again, it's because I have learned that you have to say it simply about 300 times. James doesn't do that. In what fucking universe does James use short, almost sloganish comments over and over and over again? James, I use short, sloganish comments over and over and over again. You post big, long fucking paragraphs that say different things every single time, with the exception of saying, okay, groomer, okay, groomer, okay, groomer, okay, groomer, to everything that isn't even grooming. But the okay groomer thing is really the only thing that James does this with. He doesn't do it with anything else. And then James overuses the term groomer to apply it in situations that are not grooming, but whatever. I'm not making up a number or being hyperbolic about 300. It really takes a lot of times. Until you said the same thing in public 50 times, you haven't even said it yet. Well, he's right about that. He's right about that. But James doesn't do that. He is delusional if he thinks he's doing that. I'm sorry. What's this? James Lindsay made Big Con mad. Now he's getting casted out by the audience he pandered to. Karma is a bitch, isn't it? Oh, yes, it is. Whatever. What is this? Oh, Tim. I refuse to elaborate. I refuse to debate, and your stupid run is uninteresting to me. Don't debate wizards, Tim. Is James on crack? I refuse. Okay, yeah, apparently so. God damn. Oh, Michael O'Fallon doesn't know that the WEF and the Radical Revolutionary Socialists are two different things. So that's important information, I think, for all of us to understand. Logan Lansing doesn't understand that socialists don't give a flying flip about Western values, and that's a conservative talking point. Logan Lansing also doesn't understand that capitalism means private property ownership, and he refuses to contend with videos in the real world. I already read that. Sleep deprivation. All right. That seems to be about the extent of the fight. Whatever. I don't care. James doesn't know what he's talking about. Tim doesn't know what he's talking about. No one knows what they're talking about except for us, because we are the only ones who actually watch the Radical Revolutionary Socialists in the real world, which is mind-boggling to me. But whatever. All right, I'm going to go to sleep. I need to sleep. Thank you all for spending some time with me. I will see you tomorrow. Possibly later tonight, but more likely tomorrow with the way I'm feeling. Take care, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you soon.